When it comes to fundraising, it can be incredibly challenging. Would it be amazing if all you had to do was watch a 4-minute video, read an article, and you could clearly have a great fundraising plan? I would suggest that fundraising is incredibly demanding, but it's also incredibly rewarding at the same time. For me, fundraising is stimulating a world of generosity that leads to meaningful change in people's lives. Wouldn't it make sense to actually be doing something, to be raising resources where you know at the end of the day that it's making a direct impact on people? I hope that's what you're passionate about as well. We're going to talk about some of the amazing ways that you can think about fundraising and some of the core practices that would be really important for any fundraiser. Before we get into some of the specifics about how you can fundraise for your nonprofit, I want to speak to something that I think is really important philosophically. It means a lot to me, and I promise you it will mean a lot to your donors. There's a term that many of us are familiar with. It's called moves management. And the goal is to take a donor from kind of that entry level, I just met you, through a series of moves to the point where you can actually ask them for a financial gift. I'd rather look at it different. I would want to pivot from moves management to what I like to call mission engagement. And mission engagement takes a donor in a completely different journey. It's really about understanding what they're passionate about, what they're interested in. In essence, it's what fans the affections of their heart, and then you meet them in that spot. Let me give you an example. I grew up in a single-parent home. My mom worked incredibly hard so that my sister and I could have some of the basic resources that we needed. And yet we were still on welfare, Section 8 housing, the CHIP program. So when I hear about projects specifically related to kids and young people who come from single-parent homes, that fans the affection of my generosity. I have no issue wanting to give in that direction. So as a person that's thinking about fundraising, as a person that's thinking specifically about ways in which you can engage your nonprofit into the world of donors, don't see them as a static, like, how do I get you from step A to step B to step C? Look at it more differently. Look at it more from a, how can I engage the mission that we have to the heart that you have? And when you do that, you are going to have a donor that lasts a lifetime. So let me get into some of the specifics. First, it's important to know this, that the fundraising landscape is changing all the time. And in order for us to stay competitive, and in order for our fundraising efforts to actually mean something, we're going to have to look for different streams of revenue. There are a variety of ways that you can look at that, whether it's direct mail, major gifts, grants, foundations. It could be third-party fundraising. It could be people who are stepping into spaces to provide resources for you that you might not have, gifts in kind. Those are all things that help to diversify your giving portfolio. In 2008, when we went through a really crazy and difficult economic struggle, most of the nonprofits that really struggled were tied specifically to one funding stream, and that was corporations. So as corporations struggled, the financial giving struggled as well, and some estimate that up to a third of nonprofits ceased to exist within 2 years of that financial crisis. So as you think about different streams of income as it relates to your nonprofit, it's important to know that having a diverse portfolio really protects you from some of the ups and downs that might happen in our economy. The second point that I want to talk about is specifically this, and that's related to how we move from a transactional relationship with a donor to really becoming a trusted advisor. It's as if for some of those key donors, we become friends with them. They trust us with coming for advice and asking questions and ideas that are beyond just the nonprofit that we're serving. When you're a trusted advisor, people actually trust you beyond the gift that they give. And what we have found is that when you cultivate that idea of trusted advisor, it actually lasts beyond the initial gift. What you're going to start to see is people are going to start thinking about you in more than just the single gift that they offer. They're going to move from a single gift to maybe a reoccurring gift to a legacy gift, and then a legacy gift to a huge impact gift, where next thing you know, you're a part of their planned giving process. The third point that I think is really important as well is to really just have organizational context. I could look at 5 different nonprofits and probably tell you how each nonprofit is going to thrive particularly well when it comes to fundraising in a particular area. So one might be really supported by grants and foundations, and just because of the uniqueness of their work, that particular direction makes a lot of sense. For others, it's going to be kind of more direct mail, hitting people a number of times with an opportunity to give to a special project. For other nonprofits, it might be major gifts, where you look at your giving pyramid and you kind of think about, we need to raise $100,000 or $200,000 or $500,000 or $1 million, and how many people are going to have to come in at that top percent so that you can actually achieve your goal. It is really important for you to know the organizational context of your nonprofit. I also would just be very careful to not think about what another nonprofit is doing and just assume that you can do the exact same thing. Their culture, their impact, the way in which they're doing things is significantly different. So know your context and then be comfortable living within that. Point number 4 when it comes to fundraising as a nonprofit is to have a very clear strategy about executing a major gift plan. It actually demands a strategy. So major gifts are people who have capacity to take the mission that you have and actually move it forward in a significant way. When you're talking with those types of individuals, they're going to need to know in advance what it is that you're actually going after and the way in which they can be a part of that. In addition to understanding where you need to go, it's important to understand your donor. One of the suggestions that we make with our clients all the time is to be able to have 3 lists of major donors. And the A list are the people who have the greatest capacity to give, and they also have the greatest interest in your organization. The second list would be actually major donors who have capacity, but maybe not as much context to your organization, or they love your organization, but they don't have as much capacity as your A list. And so you want to build an A list of people, high capacity, high interest, a B list who have people maybe being one or the other, and then the C list are going to be people who really love what you're doing, but may not have necessarily the capacity to give a gift of significance. I would encourage you, when you have the opportunity to put a strategy together around major gifts, because people love to give to things that they're passionate about, they've had personal experience in, or it's actually been related to something in their life. It could be an illness, it could be somebody that's been a friend that's been impacted by that, but you want to think about ways to engage people, even if they're on that C list, so that maybe at some point they become a major donor. And the final point is simply this, and it actually makes a lot of sense. You want to try to move people from a single gift once a year to being able to give monthly, or what we call in the fundraising world, a reoccurring gift. Research tells us that the average person donating to a nonprofit gives approximately $125 a year. But when you can move somebody from giving a single gift to a monthly gift, that number increases by 2/3. So $125 if it's a single gift, and $375 on average per year if a person is giving monthly to your mission. Now, I will say this, if you're going to move people from a single gift to a monthly giving, they're going to need to know consistently how your organization is providing the resources and the execution of what you've promised them. And then finally, listen, as a fundraiser, it takes a lot of creativity. It takes things that you might try and go, did that work? Did it not work? It's being creative within your events, being creative within your writing. Here are some suggestions that I might have. First is, you might want to consider a social enterprise. A great example of that is Habitat for Humanity. They have something called the Restore. So people donate like old construction equipment, tools, couches, refrigerators. They take those items, they clean them up, they sell them, and then they use a lot of those profits to build homes for families who are really working hard to get a home for the first time. The second is to look for passive income streams of revenue. I know an organization that will actually, for your nonprofit, will actually advertise for picking up old cars. They will take care of the title, they will take care of picking it up, and they will send you a check each month for the cars that are donated to your organization. And sometimes passive income is great because you don't have to do anything, you don't have to write a letter, you don't actually have to really fundraise in order for that to churn. This third one is one of my favorites. You probably have friends of your nonprofit who love the work you do, they're passionate about it, they've been a donor. Maybe ask them to get involved, especially people who are retiring and who are now living longer. They're looking for opportunities, they're looking for ways to give back to your organization. And we often think about that like, can you come and fold a bulletin? Can you come and help me with copies? Can you go onto the construction site? But actually to engage people in fundraising is a great way to connect them to your fundraising fundraising efforts. It actually expands the people who are involved and it connects them to that. And then here's the last one, and it is absolutely the most important. I have tried asking and I've tried not asking. And I promise you, asking people to support your mission always works best. Don't be afraid to ask. Well, now that you've watched this video, you should be all set for your fundraising efforts. I'm just kidding. But if we could come alongside you and at least help you build a blueprint or talk about some of these things related to major donors or passive income or building some type of social enterprise, we'd be more than happy to do that. And thanks for watching this almost 4-minute video.